good evening. Very, very different setup tonight. I hope you're doing well. Coming to you from my tiny little office where I usually do editing and other stuff with various knickknacks around me, like ladders to get into the loft and other exciting paraphernalia. I've got a really weird setup which I thought I'd just try out for tonight and see how it goes. But I hope you're all doing well out there. It's a really warm day here in the UK where I am, about 27 degrees. It was 30 yesterday. So the temperature has peaked, but I've locked myself in a 2 metre by 2 metre room just to talk to you guys. Yeah. So what are we going to talk about? So as I said, slightly different setup. First of all, do let me know if you can hear me okay. That'd be nice, because again, I've got a slightly different setup to usual. Obviously, I'm not in my kitchen. Well, if you've paid attention to my community page over on my YouTube channel, I've posted a couple of times that that's my service telling me that I'm live. That's good. That Louis Theroux, documentarian and podcaster, has released this week an interview with Marco Pierre White, which usually I would have listened to straight away, but I wanted to catch up and listen to it with you guys. So we're going to play that in a minute and see what happened, see what he said. As I said, I haven't watched it. Someone on the... I'm just checking something, hang on. Oh, I thought I changed that to public. Clearly not. Very good. Let's just pop into the dashboard and see how that's going. Right. Sometimes YouTube sets itself as live and sometimes as not. And it sometimes, excitingly, tells itself to go unlisted. And I thought I'd change that. Clearly not. Anyway, so we haven't done anything yet. So yeah, we're going to watch Marco Pierre White being interviewed by Louis Theroux. I'm a big fan of Louis Theroux from the very late 90s when he was with Michael Moore on a show called TV Nation. I really enjoyed that show and his segments in it. And then we found Louis Theroux's Weird Weekends, where he would go in America and visit different pockets of subcultures. He went and visited people who chase UFOs. He went and visited people who are neo-Nazis. He also famously went to look at the rap scene, which is where he coined his Jiggle Jiggle song, which became a TikTok hit. Hello, Kick Rich. Thanks for dropping in. Nice to see you. So that's where we get Jiggle Jiggle from. And then he did Louis Met, where he met with Paul Daniels and Chris Eubank, and other people that American viewers won't have a clue who it is. And then I think it's a little Squishmallow thing, which was for a Christmas one year, just hangs out and is now trapped on that peg. I can't get it off. Yeah, so he then did that series of meeting quite odd UK celebrities, most that were past their prime. So it made it very interesting. And famously, he met with Jimmy Savile, and before he died and before he was outed as a massive paedophile. So and then from then on he went to do serious documentaries. Not that they weren't serious, but you know what I mean. He would investigate Miami mega jails. He would go and spend time with the Christian far right. And more recently, hello Christian, welcome in. And more recently, he spent time with Manosphere on Netflix. HS Tiki Toki and others besides. I can't remember the names. They weren't interesting characters to me, but classic Louis style. I've always been a fan of Louis Theroux. So as I said, this week he dropped a podcast with Marco Pierre White, which I haven't listened to yet. And I'm going to attempt to watch it, listen to it, react to it. I don't know if it's going to get copyright struck to hell by me broadcasting it through there, so I might be yammering over it at points. So I'm certainly going to pause it quite a lot and have a chat about it. But first things first, while people are in chat and saying hello and admiring the R2D2 squishy boy, I'm just going to play some audio. It'd be great if you could let me know if the audio is any good, because obviously I can hear it, and whether it bounces, feedback, blah 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 blah, all that stuff. So let's boot that up and give that a try first of all. So we'll put that on, move some screens around.
Hello and welcome back to the Louis Theroux podcast.
So how was that? Those people that were listening, how's that audio compared to me particularly? Is he like deafening and I'm really quiet? Let me know before we go too far and I've absolutely ruined what's going on. On tenterhooks waiting to see. The chat you see goes through a service that I have called Streamerbot, and it sort of bounces back to me, so there's a slight delay. Just pausing it there while I'm double checking. Audio levels a bit loud. I did wonder if it was a bit loud, so let me monkey with that a little bit. I'll just move that over there. I'm going to pull that one to there. Let's see how that goes. And yeah, I've got a lot of window juggling this evening. The show is way down. Thank you, son. Nice to see you, my friend. It's always Louis, a little booming. That's the first Louis.
My guest today is world-renowned chef, restaurateur, and one-time culinary enfant terrible.
So how's that now? I've just tweaked him down a bit. Is that okay? Does he need to go more? I've always enjoyed doing impressions of Louis Theroux. I don't care if it's any good or not. I just enjoy doing it. It's a lot of fun. You just go slightly nasal, and yes, see how that is. Double audio. Is it coming back? That's annoying. I don't quite know how to fix that. What, double audio when I'm... okay, I think I know why. I know why. Thank you, Buchanan, for the feedback. It was on... we had a go at Saturday Live in the UK, didn't we, recently? And there was a Louis Theroux sketch. I didn't see much of it because I don't have access to the service. But how do we stop it coming back? Probably with a headphoney type thing, which I don't know if I can be bothered to sort out. Just looking around for ways to do it. Got various toys. Usually I'd use my mic, but it was being annoying. Yes, it seemed to me my time with Louis Theroux was coming to an end. So, is that what you think, is it? I'm not sure that's where we should be going. Now, I'm just going to mess with a couple of settings. Give me a sec. What program? I'm using OBS. Just doing a regular Windows stream. What was it? Yeah, a window capture. It has various audio settings in there, but yeah. Let's play a bit more, see how we go.
Marco Pierre White. In 1995, Marco became the youngest chef ever to be awarded 3 Michelin stars.
Still getting the feedback because I assume my little camera here is picking up the audio, which is what I'm using as an audio device. I suppose if I was being proper and professional, I'd get another cable and do that. We should do that, shouldn't we? Cornetto, Fulci lives. Interesting. I'm not going to get into the politics of that. Cornetto. I liked Cornetto. What was wrong with Cornetto? Or were you just trying to make a statement? Or should we not get into it on a stream about food? At last, I was getting to know the big man, and finally, we were getting some sense of rapport. Oh, that's not the right connection at all. Change the audio line in. Yeah, this is not something I do very often. Obviously, the line in. What happens if I do that? Does that turn off the audio completely? It does. It turns off the audio completely. So we don't want that. Put that on. Don't need that. Press some of that. Oh, I thought it was... Oh, I know what I'm thinking of. Cornetto, I'll call you that temporarily. Is Fauci, the guy in the US who was in charge of the COVID response. I just didn't want to go near that subject. Of course, I do know Lucio Fulci. I was having a brain moment while I'm trying to sort out this audio. Meep, meep, meep. Another cable in there. Let's try that one. I have so many cables. Headphones and mute from monitor. OBS audio.
Perhaps to retain the entertainment, I should do the rest in my Louis Theroux voice.
Yeah. But even if I do headphones... Oh, I see what you mean. Yes. Yes, okay. I'm just going to try one more thing first of all. Oh, I did say I was going to do it.
I'm just going to try one more thing, and that's to use my usual microphone, which I think is built for this kind of device. I don't know, are you reading me?
Watch a man plugging cables. I'm just going to go behind my broadcasting device. Momentito. Oh, not that. That one. That one. Good, making good noises. Turn the audio over to this in a minute. Yes, I appreciate the help, Fulci. Just turn that one on. How's that? For me, you should be hearing me the same, if not microscopically better. But I think it's good. I know the thing you mean. I think I very rarely have to mess with it. I've had enough technical rubbish this evening. There's a whole bunch of stuff not working that should be working. Luckily, I'm not in the kitchen.
Alright, let's try Louis again.
Michelin, after training under iconic chefs Albert Roux, Pierre Kaufmann and Raymond Blanc. All of those names will be coming up, so pay close attention. They're all legendary. There's that word again, mark it off your bingo card. Figures from the London restaurant scene of the 80s.
You know, for someone with a French surname, he's Canadian French, I know. Has very poor pronunciation of French, doesn't he? Very poor. Turn your audio up a bit. That's because I've changed systems. Oh dear, here we go. That's actually maxed out. I can't do any more with that. This is exciting, isn't it? This is exciting stuff. All right, I think what I'm going to do, I'm going to take... even if I listen on headphones, that's still going to hear me, isn't it? Surprised that this is quieter though, or maybe it's just muffled by my shirt. That's why I usually wear a t-shirt. Let's play a bit more, see if it See how irritating it gets. How are we doing for echo, though?
A kind of
now that I've
French
switched microphones?
invasion. The British invasion was a rock thing. I'm getting off-piste. With his rock star looks, high-profile relationships, and famously volatile reputation, Marco also became an unlikely celebrity figure, regularly appearing in the tabloids during the 90s and early 2000s. To it back, and it's like, why does Louis keep dropping the C-bomb? So we've pulled it right back. All that and much, much more coming up.
Audio's better now. I thought it might be. This thing is good at it. Thanks, Fulci. I'm still going to think of Cornetto in the back of my head. Also, I'm watching out there. My camera is there, so sometimes I won't look at you.
You're quite big on the socials at the moment.
I don't do it. My son does it.
Does he?
I wouldn't know how to. I've never sent an email in my life. I've never sent a fax.
Seriously?
No.
Whoa, he's never sent a fax. What a cool guy. Huh? Never sent a fax. Clip that. Clip that. Yeah, that doesn't surprise me. I'm surprised his son does it. I thought he would have a management company do it for him, his social media.
I write letters.
You're going viral at the moment for eating a McDonald's hamburger. Did you know that?
That's not a crime.
I didn't say it was.
It's just the expressions on your face. It's the way you said it. It's only what Andy Wall did years ago.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, did we see that? Marco eating he just unpacked a McDonald's and ate it. It was on Instagram. I mean, he's saying it went viral. That was quite a while ago. 3 months ago?
thought I'd try one out.
What did he do that was similar to that?
Exactly the same without the Heinz.
Did he? He ate a hamburger on a video?
A McDonald's, yeah.
Really? But do you like McDonald's?
I think everywhere has a place. Doesn't it? Look, how can I say? You obviously dine out lots.
Do I?
I'm sure, I guess you do.
Not really.
Okay, once a week, maybe twice.
There we go. I've turned him right down. Hopefully you can figure that out.
One thing about McDonald's, you know exactly what you're getting. It's as simple as that. And I think what's interesting about McDonald's is...
Well, we're like a minute in and we've already had a Marco catchphrase. It's as simple as that. He loves it, loves it.
You go to a pub now, and a burger is 18, 20 quid. You look at that burger you have for 18, 20 quid plus service charge. Then you look at what McDonald's gives you. The way my brain works, I start to look at the construction of McDonald's. And look at that. And what I find fascinating about McDonald's is they feed 1% of the world's population every day. And they deliver consistency.
So Marco is impressed by consistency over something else. Now, no dunking on McDonald's here, right? Okay, I eat all sorts of food, clearly. And though McDonald's are nowhere near, they're a pale imitation of what they used to be. No, please continue commenting, Fulci. Marco was just saying how great McDonald's is, basically. Which is fine, but he's just saying how great they are. Consistency. And, well, they are, but consistently, like, aggressively average, right? And he just dunked on gastropubs for having £20 burgers. But that's what it costs to serve now. Okay. Conflicting information on the audio. We'll get by, but we got the gist of it. Marco is shilling for McDonald's for some reason. Or he's just taking an angle, because he's an odd guy like that. Just takes an angle and says, hits it.
If you came to my house, I'd be stressing, and by the way, who knows, it could even happen. I'd be stressing about what am I going to feed Marco. If you were a civilian and it was lunchtime, I'd say, I'm making myself a fish finger sandwich. Would you like one?
I'd love one.
Would you?
He would actually, I'm pretty sure he would love a fish finger sandwich. Because he loves a bit of honesty in his ingredients. Well, there's a question for you, chat. Oh, for God's sake. Weirdos in chat. Give me a second, guys, just to get rid of these people. Banned. Right. Yeah. If Marco is coming round, what would you cook for him? I think he likes family style food, as in served in the middle, and everybody helps themselves. What would you serve, Marco, for lunch? I think you'd have to have ketchup. Hello, Cedar Perch. Good to hear from you. Been chatting this week, haven't we?
Well, it works, doesn't it?
It's delicious.
Let's.
I'd grate a little cheese on it. I'd grill the
I don't
fish
know about
fingers.
cheese.
I used to put some boursin on there. I don't know if that works.
No.
You don't know about cheese on the fish finger
But can I
sandwich?
say something?
Really? Please.
The truth is,
Boursin and a fish finger sandwich. Now that's interesting. That is interesting. So, King Rich, you mentioned, do I like tartar sauce? Yes, I like tartar sauce. I suppose we're not that far away, are we? Tartar sauce to Boissin. If you don't know Boissin, by the way, it's a very creamy, garlicky cheese. Very, very, very easy to find in the UK supermarkets. Fulgy, interesting you say chip butty. I've been weirdly thinking about chip butty this week because I'm doing a sort of pivot is the wrong word, but I'm going to explore some of Anthony Bourdain's stuff. And one thing that crossed my mind to do, and I think my American audience would find it fascinating, is one of the things that Anthony and Marco, who were good friends, ate together with chip butties. I thought about making a chip butty in a video. And that's the core of the video. Just tickled me. Salmon with ketchup, vinaigrette, or ham. He loves pigs. Salmon with ketchup, vinaigrette. I've made that on a live stream probably a year ago. That was good fun. I hope that's the one you're talking about.
as long as you enjoy it.
Really?
That's what's important, isn't it?
Well, yes, but then if you didn't enjoy it, I think I'd...
But I just asked for no boursin.
Really?
I'd ask
Cheddar.
for
I'd normally put some
cheese.
cheddar on it, really.
I suppose it's sort of like a fish pie in a bun, really, isn't it? With breadcrumbs.
Yeah.
But I do like fish fingers. I think they're fun things.
I was talking to someone yesterday about this. You may be one of the, probably the most, in your field, the most celebrated guest we've ever had. I mean, we've had some illustrious guests, but you were a generational talent.
Marco does not deny that, I notice. Yep, that's me. He knows his position in life, doesn't he? And Louis had some great guests on his podcast. I haven't listened to every single one, and not all of them interest me. But he's had some top-tier guests. Has he had Paul McCartney on? I think he's had Paul McCartney on, and I'd rank Paul McCartney in his field above Marco in his field. But hey, upset. Oh, that's interesting, Fulci. I've probably watched that or even obtained the video from that source. Had that video uploaded on all accounts, like 10k videos. Do you know what? You know, if you look at all that old footage of Marco or Anthony, there's loads of views just sitting there waiting for people just want to watch more content about him.
Anthony Bourdain, a friend of yours, once said he single-handedly changed Britain's culinary destiny. Oh,
I didn't know he was going to talk about Anthony Bourdain. I've got all the Marco Bourdain editors going to 1 hour. The accounts had got new to BBC DM saying that. What series is that from? Fulci? I didn't think BBC had any footage. ITV have got footage because of Marco's Great British Feast. Was it Feast? One of those series, and Anthony was on that. And then there's all the Anthony series, the Kitchen Confidential and Parts Unknown that Marco appears on. Interesting.
Of you. You absolutely transformed the landscape that you went into, and you came up obviously from Leeds, working class background in a council estate. I'm just curious for people, for the general public who won't have had the chance to eat at one of your restaurants. What was it that you did, and how were you able to do it at that moment in the culture? Could you summarise how it was you transformed the landscape?
Well, that was Anthony's opinion. The world that I entered was the old world. It was Escoffier's world. I saw the tail end of it. And then I saw the beginning of the modern world.
I'd like that, Fulci.
And I started my career at the Hotel St George in Harrogate, which was very blue collar.
It sounds quite... I read your book, and it sounded grand as well, though, in its way.
It was the most beautiful contradiction. Like my chef, In one hand, he held the feather, and in the other hand, he held the hammer. It was extraordinary. So,
Was this Stephen, what was his name?
Stephen Wilkinson.
Stephen Wilkinson. He sort of set the template for the abusive chef that you were then later on characterised as, and then Gordon Ramsay and others. He said he used the word, forgive my language right now, you said he used the word cunt like it was your Christian name.
Apologies.
But you know,
Oh, Cedar Perch, he only has like 5 anecdotes. He tells all the same ones. I've not heard the feather and hammer thing, though. That's new to me. I've not come across that one. Yeah. So there might be some strong language in this interview, just to let you know.
on the 20th of March 1978, at 6 p.m., my chef de partie, which means head of a section, he said, Marco, the first thing you have to learn about service.
Oh, Forgy, if you missed the intro, this is from this week, and I've held off watching this until I could get live and watch it with whoever wants to join me in chat. So yeah, this is a brand new interview, well, a couple of months old, but yeah, this is a new published interview. Someone on my community post mentioned a few things that Marco says that Louis doesn't pick him up on. So let's see what we get. See what we tick off of our Louis our bingo card. Service is service, indeed.
Is service is service.
Hey, well done.
And no one ever
10
says
points.
that anymore.
What does that mean?
And that's what I said. What does that mean, Michael? And he said, when the chef shouts at you, when he tells you to run, when he screams, when he pushes you out of the way, you just say, yes, chef. You don't question it.
Can we
But
get
remember,
W's in
Marco,
chat for Fulci?
It's service.
For
It's not
nailing
personal.
that. Absolutely nailing that. Well
And
done.
that's what I learned from a very young age. Because it was all about the standards. It was all about the food. It was all about serving food hot. The world we live in today is like going to a canopy party. Small portions, everyone eating the same. You're told what you're eating. You're told how to eat it. You have a mouthful. And then they ask you, did you enjoy it? That's not an experience I want.
Why not? What's wrong with that?
Okay, let me ask you a question.
You're talking about the modern restaurant culture.
What's right with it? Because
They come to the
gastronomy...
table and say, we specialise in...
I probably should react a bit more to it rather than just watching it. Again, I'm not sure how either Twitch or YouTube is going to handle me having this on a live stream. I might have to delist it afterwards. You might be getting the only broadcast of this, guys. I'm also intrigued by the fact there's 193 comments, which if we're not completely out of energy, I might have a go through later. I think there'll be some interesting gems in there. Yeah, and as other people have said, he's repeating a lot of old stuff here. But Louis Theroux is going to give generalist, right? This is not a podcast for fans of Marco Pierre White. This is a podcast for people interested in Louis Theroux interviews.
Small portions. Food is for sharing. It comes as it, we bring it as it is made. It's not starter, main course.
It's multiple courses.
Yeah. So
it's like a canopy. What chefs have done today is that they've taken canopies and put them on small plates, and they tell you it's a course.
I do agree with Marco here. In the fine dining world, and I don't eat a lot of fine dining, but I do follow a lot of it. And this 12-course tasting menu thing is not doing it for me. I do like a generous portion of food. Yeah, I hope Louis is going to pull him in a few different directions, but I'm not confident, if I'm honest.
when you digging into your story, there's this extraordinary trajectory of success. It reminded me in some ways of reading almost like a Harry Potter or a Luke Skywalker narrative.
A hero's
You have
journey.
the young... you have the hero's journey from growing up. It's striking that you actually weren't particularly fixated on food as a young man. Growing up in a Leeds council estate, your father was a cook, but he didn't really bring his... Well, he didn't really invite you to where he worked. He cooked Sunday roasts, but he didn't maybe educate you in food all that much. And so it wasn't as though it was a fixation. You were interested in hunting and fishing.
Nature.
And nature, but it wasn't like, one day I'm going to be a chef. You just happened to be looking for work. You arrived at this restaurant, this hotel in Harrogate, and then you took to it. Can you explain what it was? Was it that moment where you thought, this is the place for me?
What was interesting, without realising, my apprenticeship as a cook started years before.
But you didn't realise it.
I didn't realise. Watching my mother clamp the mincer to the side of the table, mincing the meat for the bolognese. Watching my mother cook the risotto, the spaghetti, as I sat on the side. Boiling chicken, which was almost like a pulled pot.
You can't
Then
argue with his
passed.
ability to tell a story, can you?
And then I turned to nature. That's where I felt safe, not on street corners like everybody else. And what I realised when I look back on my life, Mother Nature became my surrogate mother.
Oh, he nearly said it.
Your mum died
He
when you
nearly
were
said it.
6, didn't
We
she?
should
Died
have
of
set
a
up a
brain
bingo card,
hemorrhage
shouldn't we?
after the birth of your younger brother. And that was, you talk about that a lot. That comes out a lot in your...
I think
Nearly
what's
said Mother
important
Nature
is
is a
by
true
talking
artist.
about her, I keep her alive.
But you would have been 6, so your memories of her would be fleeting at best, imagistic.
I'm highly visual, so I remember so much.
She was Italian.
Had my mother not died at 6 and died when I was 12, those memories would have been eroded. And I'd have had different memories, I believe. But because my mother died at 6, all I had was those memories of that moment. But because I'm highly visual, therefore my retention is almost better than my brother's, because they're not as visual as I am. And so I turned to nature. I was fascinated by pheasants on the Harewood estate.
I
was
really wish
fascinated
I'd
by
set up a
woodcocks,
bingo board
by
now.
fish. Look, you know, I used to catch trout with my hands, catching crayfish, but the native ones. So this love affair with nature is where it all began. And so therefore,
This is no surprise.
in later life, when I went to the Hotel St. George and I saw my first salmon come through like a silver bar, covered in sea lice, £5 a pound it was. I saw the big Cornish cock crabs. I started to fall in love with produce.
You said that... we mentioned your mum died. She was Italian.
He hasn't
Your
said it
father
yet,
was
see the perch.
English. He was a
hasn't said
chef.
it
We
yet.
said that. Am I right in thinking he was a drinker? Was he an alcoholic?
I don't know whether he was an alcoholic, but he was a product of that world.
He was a disciplinarian. You called him a one-dimensional man at one time. I know you were estranged from him for 13
Love to see
years
Louis'
after you
notes.
left the north.
Love
You were
to see his
down in
notes.
London.
He's got a lot there.
Reading between the lines, you're actually quite generous about him. Not quite. You're actually very generous about him in your book. You extenuate his shortcomings. He was a single father, right, raising 3 kids. Your younger brother ended up being put up for adoption. Well, not quite.
Well, he was adopted by
your aunt
by
and
my
uncle.
aunt and my uncle
Yeah.
in Italy. So he was
Because your
brought up
dad couldn't
Italian.
handle it. It's like, I've got 3 kids plus a newborn. I can't deal with it. It sounded like quite a brutal upbringing that in certain respects you internalised strategies for survival that served you in good stead when it came to the bullying atmosphere of the kitchen.
Well, what it did was, if I think back and cast my
Always want to be a
mind
gamekeeper.
through the filing cabinets of my mind,
Filing cabinets in my mind. Tick it off, tick it off.
before I even walked into a kitchen, I'd already learned how to absorb pressure.
Abuse.
Pressure.
I mean,
you
Fulton,
could call
it's
it abuse.
it is the same
don't you wanna
thing,
call it
yes, but
abuse?
somehow
'Cause it's a
not
negative.
repetitive.
Right.
Fulci, I'm
I like
guessing
to
you're
look
of a
at things
vintage
as
where you would remember
positive.
the Fast Show.
And I look
It's
at
a
my
bit like the
father
Fast Show,
for his
right?
strengths, not his weaknesses.
Yeah.
Right? It's
Many
about
fathers would
wait
have
for
walked
the
away.
From the 3
catchphrase,
boys.
but done in an interesting way.
So
Can you
that's-
imagine putting a baby up, like saying to that's, it must have been strange for you saying, there's a baby, oh, now it's gone. It was 2-3 weeks old, was he?
He was
Became Italian, was sent off to Italy.
he was 13 days old when
Changed
my
his
mother
name,
died.
Craig, and then it became Simone. Is that
Well,
right?
Simon's his middle name.
Okay.
So they don't have a word for Craig in Italian, so he became Simone.
Yeah.
I look back at my life and there's many defining moments. And it's those defining moments that make us who we are, I believe. And had my mother not died, I may not have turned to nature. But where I was very fortunate, yes, I was brought up on a council estate, but at the top of my road was the old Morton golf course. I used to walk across that, and a little bit of the Moortown golf course, and I was on the Harewood estate, designed by Capability Brown, rather magnificent, rather beautiful. So from this hell, I was living. But then I have this wonderful world where I could escape.
So, I've mentioned in my videos, you can see it in any interview, in any book he writes. His upbringing, all of our upbringings are very important, but his upbringing seems to be the only thing that shaped him into being what he is today. Completely. The death of his mother, retreating into the woods and the streams. No problem, Christian. No, nice to see you. Nice to pop in. Yeah, go through, listen to the whole thing on Spotify. Very easy to find. Nice to see you. Have a good evening. We are playing Ivory Coast. Is it USA Ivory Coast tonight? I don't follow the football. I don't know. Yeah, he was so very much shaped by what happened to him, wasn't it? Really interesting. And the fact that he has to bring it up each time.
Escape. It was
What
almost
was the
fancy.
hell?
Being at home with my father, having no mother.
You went to your first after the is it the George? Was it called the George?
Craig
Malcolm
became
and Colin at the box.
You were with Malcolm and Colin, a gay couple at the Box Street, extraordinary
Apologies,
Michelin-starred
I don't follow
restaurant
football,
in the
I don't
north of
know.
England.
2 stars.
2 stars. Actually, you've mentioned them as being the 2 most gifted restaurateurs you've ever met.
Well, without
but-
question.
I won't even take bets
They
on
were.
that. That's ridiculous.
Firstly,
of course it'll come up.
They created an
There's
environment
no way Louis isn't going to talk about him giving his stars back.
which was so magical that I don't know another restaurant I've ever been to which had the magic of the Box Tree. To have gone there as a boy of 17 years old and to have been exposed to that world. And the methods that Box Tree used weren't conventional, but what they created was deliciousness.
Yeah, anybody
was
that's in chat that hasn't read this and likes Marco Pierre White,
But their
find a
generosity
copy. It's
again
really cheap. There's
was
millions of them
extraordinary.
on second-hand
You
shops.
left them.
It's a fun read,
Again,
really
looking
easy
at
read.
your story, it's as though there's a
And
series
gave
of. I
birth
mean,
to
this
my
is
most
crass,
popular video
apologies, but you know they
of roast
talk
chicken,
nowadays
because
about video games and boss battles, and
I
like there's a
found
series
that
of
he had
boss
a
battles, and then you go to the next level, you
passage
level
about
up.
roast chicken,
It's almost like you absorb everything
where
you
he cooked
need
for Michael
to
Caine.
from a certain kitchen and a restaurant, and then you're ready to go on to the next level, right? So in this case, it was having finished after a year or 2 at the Box Tree in Ilkley, you decide to. I think you decide you're going to go down to London. Is that right?
Well, that's where everything happened, was at the Box Tree. And they used to always say, you never know what the bosses think of you until the day you give your notice. And I said to Michael Lawson, what does that mean? And Michael Lawson, who was the head chef, he used to take me out on a Monday because he was a lonely man. He was a gentleman.
I just want to finish this lib and I'll say evening.
The
properly.
most beautiful soul. He said, if they don't care for you, they just accept your notice. If they like you and respect you and feel that you have a value, they invite you to the Chinese room and they'll offer you money.
Just going to cut that there. Fulci, are you talking about that bit about I can't remember what he said now. What did he say? He said you'll find out how much you're valued when you're giving your notice, right? And I absolutely agree with that. Worked in corporate world all my life, not chef world, and more than one occasion when I gave my notice in, they went, "Oh, here's some money." I'm like, it's kind of a done deal now, mate. Sorry. You just think, why wouldn't you appreciate me while I'm there? Why do you wait for me to leave to do that? Very annoying. Hello, Libradonics. Nice to welcome you in. Come and say hello. We're just watching Louis Theroux interviewing Marco Pierre White, which was published this week. I don't know if this is going to get my channel completely bashed apart by copyright. No idea, but let's give it a go. Don't forget, I'm live streaming on YouTube and Twitch at the same time. Cedar Perch, you said about a Marco movie. It's gone a certain way. It's carried on a few times. I forget who's been in the running to play Marco. I think Tom Hardy has been in the running to play Marco. There must have been another. There's been other mentions as well. I can't think who. Well, Liberal I've deliberately avoided all the conversation about this till I could watch it live with other crew around here. Watch it with the gang. Yeah, well, some of you may know as well, there's an Anthony Bourdain movie coming out in August, which I'm hoping to kind of ride the tails of a little bit. And then maybe someone will look at that and say, oh, maybe there's something in the Marco Pierre White, and that idea will get regurgitated and revisited. I would say Cedar Perch, Tom has got quite a likeness to Marco Pierre White. I know that's not everything, but he's also got the demeanour, that sort of brooding demeanour. I think he could really pull it off. I'm not the biggest Tom Hardy fan. I think he was good, and I think he's gone off the boil. Oh, Michael Fassbender was also in talking to do it back when he was appearing in every single film. I think it's really plausible though, and anyway, we'll see how the Bourdain film does.
So I gave my notice. And an hour goes by, and I thought, okay, they'll just accept it. An hour and a half, maybe 2 hours, I'm called to the Chinese room. And I'm offered more money. And I said no. And I was court-martialed on the spot. I had to leave from immediate effect. That's how personal the boys were. That's how much they'd invested in me.
What's striking as well is that you talk about you found a new family, and you'd left, by this time, you'd left home. Your father either had or was about to remarry.
Fulci, got some mortadella, some emmental, and some baps. That is nice. I've got exactly the same. But I had pork belly and bao buns this evening. It was very nice. Nigella
You were
recipe.
estranged from him, perhaps from your brothers too, I don't know. But this was your new family, and you completely threw yourself in to your work life. You became totally dedicated. Girlfriends came and went, not so interested. Hobbies, pastimes don't really figure much. You were completely married to the kitchen.
I was addicted to, like people have addictions. Mother Nature, food became my addiction.
Didn't say it.
It became the most important thing. I was so focused on just food. What they said to me was, Marco, we knew you would go all the way. You were very different to every other boy that had walked through the kitchens of the Box Tree. You had almost magic fell out of your fingers. That's how they looked at me. The way I put things on a plate, the way I could coordinate. But remember, I was just replicating what had been shown by Michael Lawson.
Yeah, but sometimes just replicating accurately,
I remember
exquisitely is a gift, right?
One of the great cooks I worked for.
Barreling over him. Not
I was very
illustrated.
privileged in life to have worked with some extraordinary individuals.
Go on.
Mac Bourgeois held the highest position within the Roux company. He was the chef d'honneur. He turned. But if Albert was away in France, he'd go to assist Gavroche. If Chef Albon was away, he'd go and assist old Gavroche. If Kaufman was away, he'd go and assist Kaufman. Extraordinary man. He gave me the hardest time ever. The hardest time ever. He would stack the work so high, so high.
Down to his elbows. Covered in
And I had
cuts.
to plough my way through that work and then and be ready for service.
What kind of thing? Like,
Oh, the amount of mise en place he would make me do, he'd make it almost impossible. But because I was ruled and fueled by my fears of failure, by my insecurities, I pushed myself through those pain barriers. I did everything. I did my job. I sat with him just before lockdown to have lunch with him.
I've not heard this story.
And I said to Chef Marc, I said, Chef, why did you treat me like a CUNT when I was young? His answer was the shortest. You know why, Marco. You know why. He knew that it was within me to win 3 stars.
can you subtract the bullying, if you want to call it that, and the cruelty, if you want to call it that, or just the brutality from the kitchen and still keep standards?
Cedar Perch, right?
I think what's
being
important...
humble. It was almost impossible, and I was afraid of failure.
The world is very different today. When I was a boy, so like Gavroche, you were ruled, like everybody else, by emotion. And everyone had the same dream. And that dream was to win 3 stars in Michelin. That dream was to be part of a 3-star Michelin or a 2-star. The chef was your Pied Piper. We followed him. That's what Albert was, a Pied Piper. We never questioned him, we followed him. And those were the standards, and that's what we had to deliver at whatever cost.
Some of you might know that my son is a chef, and he had the pleasure of working, not really working. Albert Roux was at a dinner that he was cooking for dozens of other chefs. And he was obviously a very old man by that point. It wasn't that long ago. Again, this sort of time, just before lockdown he's talking about. But he did send me a photo of Albert Roux, a very big old man in a chair, and just said that he was this immense presence. For someone just sat at the back of the kitchen observing what's going on, he was like given the ultimate respect. Interesting.
But you talk in the book about Albert Roux jabbing at you with a ladle, for example. I think that's right, isn't it? Or a spoon.
Louis
And
only reads
you
the one
get pissed
book.
off. You're like, I've had enough. I think you walk out at that
I
point.
walked out though.
Yeah.
I went back, but I walked out on that occasion.
When you look back at, like, on YouTube, I invite listeners to check out many of the old videos of you in the kitchen.
I'm very old. Very, very old.
I would say heaping invective or behaving.
birthday tomorrow,
In fact, even in your book, you
He's
talk
going to
about
be
your
26.
willingness to use appropriate language if you felt someone was falling down on the job. But to a dispassionate observer, it might seem cruel.
Lots of people don't understand our world. It's not personal.
Having worked your way through these kitchens and working at the highest level and picking something up, whether it's from Raymond Blanc, Albert Roux, Pierre Kaufman, Nico Ladini, these legends of the London
Louis
culinary
special.
scene.
Had a
Then
Marco
you
bingo
decide to set
and a
out
Louis bingo board.
and make your own
Had both of
restaurant
these
at the
things
tender age of, what,
The Louis
27, was
special.
it? 26?
24 when I got Harvey's.
Was it? And so, and it was in South London. I was in South London. I was a 16-year-old or 15-year-old schoolboy. I remember it was strange because it wasn't considered a salubrious area. You were overlooking Wandsworth Common. It was at the very sort of beginning of the yuppie era, so I suppose things were changing. And there was this sort of clientele with cash to spend and wanting to be seen fine dining. One of the things you became perhaps most famous for, alongside the food, was your willingness to eject people from the establishment if you felt they were being...
Okay, everybody knows what Louis is going to say, right? Can anybody guess what Marco's going to respond to this? I give you a few seconds in chat to say what Marco is going to say about kicking people out of the dining room, because, again, he's a bit of a broken record for this one. If you haven't heard this before, you're in for a little treat. I'm guessing here he's going to say something. Let's give it a go.
Rude. You had a procedure you called it the Whoosh.
Well, I didn't create that name, someone else did.
The Whoosh, really?
I never created that. I think that was Jean-Christophe, my manager. But the reality is, if customers were rude to the staff, or customers were swearing or making scenes at the table, then they'd first be asked to be quiet. And if they continued, then they were asked to leave. We never asked for the bill. Just please leave. I don't know if you've ever been in a restaurant and people are behaving badly, and that impacts on your table.
Of course, especially even if they're just very noisy, if it's a large party.
It was on the news this morning, wasn't it?
Was it?
Some lady who used to be a news presenter went to a restaurant or a hotel in Kent, and the behaviour of a certain table spoilt their lunch.
Right.
But the proprietors or the management never did anything about it. I think you have a duty and a responsibility to look after your clients. Everyone's there for a special reason, whatever that reason may be, whether it's a celebration, whether it's birthday or an engagement, who knows? And you have 4 city boys, if you think of, I think they were called yuppies in the 80s.
Certainly were.
I think they were called yuppies.
And they behaved in a certain way. And to the table next to them wasn't acceptable. So we'd ask them to refrain from swearing or being loud. They'd always say, look how much money we've spent this evening. They'd missed the point. It wasn't about the money. They had to go.
Would you come out and do it yourself, or would your maitre d' do it?
Sometimes it was myself, or sometimes it was the maitre d'.
If you say to someone, like, there's an account...
Wasn't quite where I was going to go. I thought it was going to be that. There's a quote from that BBC series, Marco, where he just basically. It's a bit like making themselves cry, right? He just says, well, they deserve to leave us. I can't remember how he phrases it now, but yeah. Nice though, isn't it?
Somewhere where
We all do that.
one of your customers says,
You know, I think the tablet is the stain on modern dining, right? When you go into a restaurant and there's people with a child, toddler, and they just let them use a tablet or phone with noise while they're eating, I cannot get on board with that. I just no. Sorry. Find another way to entertain this child. Yeah, we've all managed up to this point. You bring crayons. That's what you do. You bring crayons. Works every time. Anyway.
you've had a word with them. They say, you made me look like a cunt in front of my wife.
No, what happened was, I'll tell you. So I arrive at the Mirabelle. And Marion.
This was a bit later, different restaurant.
This was the Mirabelle. This would have been in the early 2000s. And I walked to my office, and there's Marion, the head receptionist, crying. And I said, why are you crying, Marion? And she said, the man on whatever table calls me a cunt.
Oh, I have heard this story.
I said, what table? And what was his name? So I go to his table. I said, good evening. I said, good evening. I said, do you have a problem? And this is word verbatim. He said, no, why'd you ask? I said, well, would you like to step away from the table and we can have a private conversation? He said, no, you can say it here. So I said, my head receptionist, Marion, is in my office crying. I'm now going to give you 5 minutes to make the decision whether you wish to apologise or you leave. I'll be in the bar. And he came through to me.
Can't argue with that.
And he said to me, why did you make me look like a... I said, I didn't, sir. You did it to yourself. Have you made your decision? He said, we're leaving. I said, that's the best decision and the most sensible thing you've said this evening. Good night, sir. Enjoy your evening.
In other versions, he says, you just made me look like a cunt in front of my wife and friends, and you said, that's because you are a cunt.
That's not true. That's
James
chapter 21 of your book.
But that's James Dean.
Who's James Dean?
He was the writer.
Really?
There's nothing wrong with poetic license.
He dressed it up a bit.
And you know it better than anybody, Louis. I don't have to tell you.
Oh, let's hope we don't get an actual advert here. I'll gloss over it if we do. It's like we missed the advert. I hate this music. It's terrible music for Louis Theroux. Let that fade away. Dust.
In the late 80s, when Harvey's was going, you specialised in sumptuous food. It was. I'm trying to do justice to people. If you were a singer, we could play one of your songs. If you were a filmmaker, we'd talk about the scenes from the films, maybe.
All this Louis Theroux impersonation.
A gastronome or a chef.
As I've said, if you missed
we
the
just
intro,
have to describe the
Louis
food
Theroux.
a little bit. The London Times restaurant critic Jonathan Meades visited Harvey's. And he said, I had brains en gelée followed by rabbit in langoustine sauce.
Very 90s.
It sounds
You must have met Jonathan.
decadent.
You must have met Jonathan.
I have, a few years
He
ago.
was an extraordinary man. He was the most feared critic.
Was he?
The reality is, it was just me being very practical. But the combination of rabbit and langoustines, look, the French have done chicken and crayfish, poulet écrevisse, or lapro, or écrevisse, for years. It's just one of those delicious combinations.
See,
which
it's
works.
not even that. It's just nothing music. It's got no
The coulis
personality.
écrevisse with the rabbit. It's very delicious.
In that era, alongside your extraordinary culinary ability,
Vulture, I don't
was
think
the
I've
fact
seen
that you
that.
were
I
very
think
good
I'll
looking.
seek that clip out.
I don't know about that.
There's photographic evidence to prove it.
But I still don't look at myself like that. I look at my children and think they're very beautiful.
You were the Rockstar Chef,
Ah, yes.
and you were in the
That's where
middle
you
of a
were.
lot of attention.
Alan Crompton Back comes to see me and says, Marco, I'd like to do your PR. So Alan Crompton Back does my PR for me.
Did he bring in, is it Bob Carlos?
No,
What's his
Bob
name? The
Carlos Clark.
photographer.
Bob Carlos Clark.
Bob Carlos Clark, whose iconic images defined your mysterious allure.
Well, they captured a moment in time within the world of gastronomy.
Always with a sharp knife, looking vaguely murderous, or with a cleaver lurking in front of a door.
That was Bob.
You weren't just a projection of his imagination. You had those qualities.
Well, what
That's
happened
these
was...
pictures, if you don't know.
So Alan Crompton Bat now, and this is what I say. I always say Crompton Bat and Bob Carlos Clark created the modern day chef. They created the celebrity chef, the two of them.
That was you.
I was their muse.
You were the original. You
The
were
Bob
the
Carlos Clark
originator.
photos that he's referring to.
As I say, they captured a moment in time. The
stars aligned in some way.
And I suppose, see, one of my struggles was the hierarchy of my industry. They tried to suppress me.
Who did?
All of them.
Name names.
All the names we've spoken about already.
In different ways, your mentors,
different ways.
these French chefs based in London, tried
Like
to...
Albert, for example.
Albert Roux,
Albert Roux.
who called you a genius.
Albert was fantastic. I won my first star because he was my friend. I won my first star. And no one really felt threatened by 1 star. I remember Albert saying to me in '89, Marco, don't change your menu. Don't change it. Just refine it. And in January, you will win your 2 stars in Michelin. I never, ever, ever changed my menu. I refined it.
Mm-hmm. But your point was,
Albert would
did
know.
you, what was your, they were trying to hold you back.
This is now we're getting to it. Now I win 2 stars in Michelin. Now the hierarchy, they're trying to stop things.
I think it's really interesting there. As someone who's a fan, or someone who's studied a lot of Marco Pierre White, and someone who's studied a lot of Louis Theroux, you saw both their styles there in that call and response, where Marco's telling his anecdote, which is fully formed in his head. He knows exactly what he's going to say. And then Louis is just like, yes, but he called you brilliant, called you a genius and held you back. But then Marco's like, shut up, I'm going to do my anecdote. I'm going to just wade in. He's right in there, bouncing back. Exactly, Cedar Perch, exactly. Well, yeah.
It's like, for example...
You're getting too big. They're threatened.
That's right. But also, I had all the press.
Yeah, must have been annoying for them.
All those front covers. They'd worked all their lives and never... I had more in a year than they'd had in their entire lifetime.
And worth saying, you were in your 20s. When you got your 3rd star, you were 33, the youngest, as I'm given to understand, the youngest person in history to win 3 stars.
That's right.
At that point.
And the first British chef to win 3 stars.
That's right.
Thanks for hanging out, Rich. Yes. Yeah. I'm not gonna. I've got to cook all of White Heat. It's just something I've got to do. So have a nice evening, and I'll catch you again. No Marco for the next couple of videos, definitely. Maybe in September. We'll see. The unstoppable force of the immovable object.
I was lucky.
One night
But
you
the
were...
truth-
Go
but the
on.
truth is-
Lucky, stop it. Don't... False modesty is not a good
no,
look.
it's not false modesty. As I said to your producer,
Perfect.
success is born out of luck. Luck is being given the opportunity. It's awareness of mind that takes advantage of that opportunity. I knew lots of great
Opportunity
cooks.
meets preparation. Napoleon said a general makes his own luck.
That's true.
Women loved you. You've told a story in the past about being in the restaurant one time. A woman left her husband at the table and came upstairs to find the lavatory. She passed you and gave you a look, and you end up in your office together.
I locked her on the roof.
Well, that was afterwards.
What page is that in the book?
What took place in the office?
What page is that, Louis? You must have it in your notes somewhere.
It's not the
Because I want to
page.
know.
Why is that
Well, you keep on
important?
giving me page numbers.
Sure, I could find it, but well, you don't need to know the page
Anyway.
number. But she described her as 40-ish, full-bodied, wearing a low-cut dress. She
Can I
said to
say,
her husband,
That's James Steen again. I think you should sit down with James rather than me.
and then you
Look, this is Marco flustered. Very rare. Very rare to see Marco flustered. And he is flustered. I hate to do this, but in Louis' famous interview with Jimmy Savile says, which I've watched lots of times, he's got him on the ropes, and that's exactly where he's got him now. Louis really sort of upended him in the middle of his anecdote, really got him.
what you did? Is that a true story? Though
It's a true story. It's a true story.
Did you actually make love to the woman?
No,
in
I
your...
did not make love to her.
I don't mean that. I mean that in
kissed
the
her.
old-fashioned sense.
I kissed her.
Did you?
I did.
Where?
On the lips.
On the lips.
And then my phone rings and I excuse myself and I answer the phone and the manager said to me, Marco, the husband is on the way up the stairs. So I put it on the roof and locked the door, and this was February time.
She climbed out the window.
No, she didn't. That's another story, that one. Is I locked the door.
It's getting a bit
and
eggy.
How did you get to the roof?
I sit there because I was on the top floor.
Right.
Because it walked out like onto a terrace.
Right.
And I'm telling my office, and this man appears. He said, have you seen my wife? This must have been a clue for him. I said, and what does she look like? Like if lots of people walking past my office. What a stupid thing that was. And he describes her. And I said, not seen her, mate, sorry. And he disappeared.
You probably had lipstick smeared all over
No,
your
I'd wiped
mouth.
that off. I'd wiped that off. I think. But I didn't have it. Who knows? I wasn't looking at myself. And I then...
I don't think I've ever seen Marco so
I
uncomposed,
rang
like
downstairs
completely
and I
blown
said,
up by
Sean,
that.
when he's back at the table, let me know.
He's back on.
About 15 minutes later, he said, Marco, he rings me and says, Marco, the husband's back at the table. Look, I was a boy of 25 years old, growing up, discovering life, and I
Just going to crank the speed up a tiny bit.
I opened the
because
door,
He is slow at talking.
and there was a
can't be here all
windswept lady, I think, suffering from hypothermia. And I said, your husband's back at the table. I never saw her again.
Oh, fault you, 100%.
It was a funny story, and it's turned into a sad story.
I don't think it's sad. It was
The way you said that was so plaintive. You looked like a child, like you were saying, I never saw her
I
again.
didn't see her again, Louis.
Were
Well,
you
I
expecting
said
to?
that.
Were you hoping that
I
it would turn
said
into
that
a...
before you asked me. I'm preempting the questions, Louis.
You thought it was going to lead to a second date?
I'm not that presumptuous, but I wouldn't have been surprised or shocked.
Did you make the most of it? It must have been a lot. You weren't a drinker or a drug taker.
I know. Well,
But you were having fun.
I didn't start drinking until I was in my 40s.
Why did you start?
Well, I gave up cooking.
Yeah. You lost your way a bit when you sort of were like... You were like Alexander, who you conquered. There was no world left to conquer. You talk about being...
Here we go.
Having got
Here
your
we go.
third star, and it was like...
Well,
like everything went out of the
In
whole...
95, I won my three. In 95, I won my 3 stars.
In
That
which
period of my life was highly creative in one sense, but highly destructive in another sense, because the amount I had to give was unhealthy. What was interesting, and I don't know if I've ever spoke about this, is when I retired from the stove, I was lost. My
Talked about this
decision
hundreds
was
of
born
times.
out of a very
What are you talking about?
simple thought. I was unhappy being in the kitchen. It no longer excited me. It was conveyor belt cuisine. It was cooking by numbers. It was all about defending our reputation, defending our position. Winning 1 star is very exciting, maybe the most exciting. Winning 2 stars is exciting. Winning 3 stars is exciting. Defending them is very boring. But I came from a world where a chef's position was behind the stove.
Behind the stove.
And that's where I was, always behind the stove. And if I didn't touch it with my fingers, I touched it with my eyes, with my palate. Mm-hmm. So I touched every single dish that left that kitchen.
He's not going to talk about his chain of Marco Pierre White Italian and steakhouses then.
Now I'm in a position where I'm doing 100 hours a week and I'm not happy.
It's coming, it's coming.
Because now we're playing that defensive game, not that exciting game of creating. There's too much at risk. I saw Albert Roux lose his 3 stars. I saw Kaufman lose his 3 stars.
And what was that like?
I was the man who told Albert. He asked me what I knew.
Really? You had the inside knowledge? Like you knew for some reason? How did you know?
What happened
Not heard this story before.
was Gordon Ramsay told me
Came from a world.
How did
that
Ramsay
Gavroche,
know?
Gordon Ramsay's father-in-law, was a publisher.
Right.
He obviously knew where the book was being published. So Gordon told me, Albert rang me up and asked me if I knew anything. I said, I've heard 1 or 2 things. He said, what about Gavroche? I said, I've been told that you've lost your star, Albert.
Lost 1 of 3.
Yeah, 1 of 3.
Yeah.
You've lost your star. He said, how do you know that, Marco? And I explained why, how I knew it. And it was true.
Did it feel significant?
He of course, no one had ever lost 3 stars. Albert was the first person to win 3 stars. Albert was the godfather of our world. He was the heavyweight.
In England, in the UK?
Yeah, in the UK, enormous. And
You said, did his face do something? Were you in person? This was on the phone.
I found it rather sad that Albert had lost his 3 stars. It's like I found it sad that Pierre had lost his 3 stars. And I said, a few months later, I sat with Derek Brown, the head inspector of Michelin, and I said, Mr. Brown, why did Gavroche lose their 3 stars? And he said to me, I dined there 4 times last year, and 3 times out of the 4, it wasn't a 3-star meal. He didn't say it was bad, it wasn't a 3-star meal. I said, oh. So I'm not enjoying it.
So I've never heard him put it quite that way before. He's probably going to go on to the thing we all know he's going to say. But that's interesting. I've never heard that angle of it before, nor him talking about that conveyor beltness. I mean, he's implied it, but I don't think I've heard the words come out of his mouth like that. And no Cedar Perch, he doesn't talk about businesses that he had that failed, the various other restaurants that didn't get stars, or the ones that you'll know a friend of the channel, Water Truck, worked at that were not Michelin restaurants and very much pilot high type restaurants. The Titanic, others escape me, but yeah.
I'm fishing one Sunday morning on the test for salmon, and I catch a henfish.
Here goes. Listen.
And I unhook her, and I release her back into the water. I arrest the pull. And in those days I smoked. And I had a cigarette. I sit on the bench. And this little thought comes into my mind. Marco, you're being judged by people who have less knowledge than you.
Hooray!
So what's it worth?
Hey!
The following day, I contacted Michelin. Until the 23rd of December 1999, I'll be stepping down from the stove. Robert Reed will be taking over. Hang up my apron.
There's a version where you say, I don't wish to be included in future editions of your book.
Is that in my book by James Dean again?
It's been said that you can't, you should, it's the conventional wisdom is you returned your stars. You said, I don't want them, you can have them back, which apparently is not something you can do.
The reality is by stepping down from the kitchen,
fair play to Louis for calling Marco out on that statement, because, yeah, he's right. You can't hand them back. You can't not have them. You get given them and they're in a book, but they're just a book, right? They're just a guidebook. As everyone knows, it's from the tyre company, who's places to drive. It's the same as like The Guardian awarding a film a 5-star review. You can't say, I don't want the 5-star review. Fulcher, just to bring up your point, yeah, that Thailand show. Yeah, there's lots of clips of that knocking about, isn't there? I'm guessing it's been shopped around and not gone anywhere. I wonder if we could do anything about that.
You have to take them off you. You've told them.
Really?
You've told them. Think about it logically.
Yeah.
I'm no longer going to be in the kitchen. The guy. This is in September. The guy goes to print in October in those days. And I said, Robert Reed will be taking over.
Although there's chefs who have multiple restaurants with stars, right? And they can't be in all the restaurants at the same
But
time.
the reality is today, see, in the world that I came from, a chef had to be behind his stove to have 3 stars. That's not the case today.
Can we talk Ramsay?
Paul, Joe Robertson?
Yes, of course we can talk Gordon.
He said
Paul
that,
Bacchus? He had like 10
I mean,
restaurants.
it's a storied relationship. You hired him. He talks about you brutalizing him in a way that he felt he learned from. Nevertheless, he was once asked which living
Was this
person...
in his biography?
This is in Humble Pie.
I'm sure it's the author. who
Might
wrote
have
that.
been written by James Dean as well.
No, and it wasn't James Dean, it was somebody else.
Which living person do you dislike the most? He was once asked. Marco.
Yeah,
He's
Fulci. I mean, some
two-faced.
sort of
He
like
also said,
Kickstarter.
what was the worst thing anybody has ever said to you?
Let me think about that.
There was a situation at Harvey's. We were in full flight in the kitchen. Marco was in the way. I couldn't get to the steamer. I pushed him out of the way. He elbowed me. So I dropped some red mullet. He said, you're like dog shit, always in the middle of the road.
That's not true.
And then there were times when you feuded. There was this famous case where he accused you or someone with you of stealing his reservations book
Oh, yeah. This is
in
a
order to
nasty
undermine
story.
his bookings.
But if you read his autobiography,
And then he later went on and said, actually, no one stole it. He pretended, or he stole it from
he
himself.
blames Marco. That's what he says in the book.
Did you value Gordon's ability in the kitchen?
Gordon came to me as a young man. I think he must have been about 21 when he came to me. And he worked with me until July 89. So he started in the January of 88. So he did 19 months with me. I got him a job at Gavroche with Albert. And so he went to work in Gavroche. And then from Gavroche, he went to work for Guy Savoy. And I assisted him and helped him with France.
Funny comment, Cedar Perch.
Because I liked Gordon. He was kind. He worked hard for me and he asked me for a favour and I did that favour for him.
Talented?
He's a great technician, is Gordon. A really good technician. And then he went to
About
Robichon.
artistry.
A great technician. It's like an insult, right?
Gordon is, when I always think of Gordon, when I think of Gordon, his plates are clean, they're always tidy. Mm-hmm. They're tidy. And they're consistent. And that's what it takes to win 3 stars in Michelin. Great technician, great palate, tidy plates, consistent.
These are interesting facts. I'm not getting the feelings.
Oh, nice work, Lou.
What do you mean the feelings?
Well,
Spot on.
did you like him?
I like Gordon, yes.
You made him cry.
He made himself cry.
Yay!
He was
Took it off,
chopping
took it
onions
off.
at the time, Louis.
That's trivialising, because he wasn't chopping onions.
You weren't there.
No, but I've read the story. I don't recall what he'd done wrong, but I monstered him and he lost it. Gordon, this is you speaking. Gordon crouched down on the floor in the corner of the kitchen.
Not true.
Buried his head in his hands.
That's James Steens.
This isn't even from your book.
Where's this
This is
from?
from a profile in the New York Times. Gordon crouched down on the floor in the corner of the kitchen, buried his head in his hands and started sobbing. I don't care what you do to me, he said as he wept. Hit me. I don't care. Sack me. I don't care. I was hardly going to sack him. He was leaving the next day.
I sued the New York Times for defamation.
Over that fact
They
or
accused
something
you
else?
of... They kind of cavalierly suggested you were a drinker and a drug taker, and you pointed out you were neither.
What they said was that I had a well-publicised bout of drugs and alcohol. I'd never taken a drug in my life and I didn't drink. And so if you think, if they're prepared to write that, they're prepared to write anything.
Perhaps I created the monster, it continues. Ramsay, the monster who ended up as a TV personality, screaming at celebrities on Hell's Kitchen, doing to them what I had done to him. It's unlikely we shall ever know each other again.
Can I ask you the question? Is
This
that
is the
right?
punchline. Wait. When I cut, I cut.
No. That is
Is that not true?
That is not true.
Really? Which bit?
What's true is Gordon cried. And it was his last night, or his second to last night. I think it was his last night, and it was highly emotional for him.
Did you, and do you remember?
And I did say,
You can set the record.
and he did say to me, I don't care, Marco, just fucking hit me, whatever. He was very upset.
Why was he upset?
It's 30 plus years ago.
Do you think that you created the Ramsay persona in some way, that he kind of internalized?
I cannot be held responsible for that. I can't be. Gordon is his own creation. Like I'm my own creation, you're your own creation. We're responsible for our own journeys in life, Louis.
I'm pleasantly surprised by how far we're going into this. I didn't think we'd get... I think it'd be all surface level stuff. And I'm quite surprised he's really having a good poke at that Gordon Ramsay story, which, again, most interviewers would be too intimidated to do. And Louis sort of doesn't care. And he's got that famously faux naive style that allows him to get away with anything, really. It's good.
And it's, at the end of the day, Gordon and I go back, let's be honest now, we go back 40 years to Gordon and I.
Are you friendly now?
Yes, we're doing a TV show together. When the press...
They're doing a TV show together. I didn't know this. Fascinating.
attacked my son the other week, Gordon sent me the most beautiful text. So, The Gordon Ramsay the press wants to talk about is not the Gordon Ramsay I know. Gordon Ramsay, as far as I'm concerned, is a beautiful boy.
Beautiful boy. Lovely boy, lovely boy.
You got into some hot water. You appeared to possibly, I say this very hesitantly, endorse Nigel Farage.
Yeah, he sort of
I
did.
don't endorse anybody. I've never voted in my life.
Haven't you?
No. He is a customer
Of what?
of the hotel in Bath,
Really? Which is called the...
Rudloe.
He's a
no,
customer, so he comes in. So you, do you like his vibe? You know him?
I wouldn't say that I know him. I've been in his company briefly on one occasion, but he's been when I've not been there. But he's very polite. He comes across as being very honest, and I think he's very clever.
So you're not a political animal?
Let's just read your comments there, Fulci. You live in psychiatry law. Louis is behaving like a psychiatrist trying to trigger someone. Yes. I mean, that's his style, isn't it? He sort of creeps under and then drops a little hand grenade. That's what he does. Cedar Perch, he's kind of already talked about that in a sense, you know, and I think we've moved past that. Cedar Perch, if you don't know, because you're in the States, aren't you? Do you know who Nigel Farage is? Well, he's a far-right political leader in the UK, and it's looking worryingly likely that his party will do very well in the next general election in about 3 years' time. There's a lot of eggy stuff going on about that. And that's exactly why Louis is bringing it up, because he knows it's a controversial topic to talk about him with.
Oh, really?
No. My favourite. Look, I used to have lunch with Thatcher when I was a young man.
Did
in the
you?
Mirabelle. Yeah. She was special.
You actually, it would be you and her and who else?
Dennis, Lord Churchill.
Stop it.
See, being a restaurateur, the beauty of being a restaurateur is everyone crosses your path.
What do people
especially
get?
Cedar Perch, I don't want to turn this into a political thing, but purely for your reference, you can think of Farage as a mini Trump, and he is friendly with Trump, and he looks at Trump and he apes his style of politics. I'm just going to leave it there. That will know, so you know who you're talking about. Fulci, you're right. This is a really interesting interview. I wasn't expecting much of it. Someone commented on my post and said, "Oh, Marco ducks and dives, and Louis lets him get away with it, or something." So I'm surprised we're getting some meat on the bone. Pun definitely intended.
Wrong about Thatcher and Dennis.
Well, Dennis was very supportive, I would say. He was kind.
Of her.
Yeah, he was very kind, very understated. Thatcher was always interested in your thoughts, not her thoughts, which I found interesting.
What did she like to eat?
Straightforward, simple food. But for example, she once asked me, one of the questions she once asked me, she said, "Marco, when you promote someone into a senior position, what makes you make that decision?"
She said that.
So what was interesting, all her questions were like that. They were very simple. Her construction of sentence was very simple.
And what did you say?
I said, when I promote someone into a senior position, they must promote the company, not themselves. And she said, I was sitting here, she said, they must promote the company, not themselves. And then she said, you're absolutely right. She'd never point her finger at you. She'd always hold it in the air.
Really?
She wasn't rude, very polite.
How's your energy?
Strange.
Are you all right? You doing okay? You're not thinking of taking you hostage?
What are you implying? That I'm suffering from Stockholm Syndrome?
It could be. I read that they were turning your life into a movie.
Hey, the movie chat's coming up. That's good. We've predicted it all. We've got a clean sweep on the bingo board, guys. I've always liked that question Louis asks. I've asked it. I've used it myself when talking to people. How's your energy? How's your energy? How are we doing? You all right? How's your energy? Yeah, well, again, this is classic Louis. He's not doing anything that's not out of the Louis playbook. There's nothing original, in the nicest possible way, nothing original in what he's doing. He does this in every interview. And yeah, he's getting the stuff, isn't he? He's getting the stuff. There's all bits us Marco nuts have not heard before. Good stuff.
Russell Crowe was attached.
It
Russell
started
Crowe?
with Ridley.
Ridley Scott was to direct.
Yes, so Ridley signs me up, and I forget the name of Nicholas was the screenwriter, and I worked with him. And then Ridley brings Russell in.
Who'd been in Gladiator, which Ridley directed.
And so I go, to Nana Glen, because I'm being told by Ridley.
9 people,
So I go to
Matthew?
Nana Glen.
Hello.
Is that where he lives?
That's where Russell lives.
Russell
in
lives.
Australia.
Okay.
Something Harbour, cloth.
You flew all the way to Australia?
Yeah, so I spend a week, 10 days with Russell.
Just hanging? Wow.
And everything I do, he films. Everything I say, he films.
Really?
And then Ridley and Russell fall out. So now I'm on the fence. And I have to make a decision.
Do you?
Russell or Ridley? Well, I've just spent 10 days with Russell. His mother and father were very kind to me. They all looked after me and made my stay very comfortable and enjoyable. So I went with Russell. So now I get to know Russell. And then it's time to renew the option. And they want to renew the option. And I said no.
Matthew, I think Fulci's saying that Marco has a vulnerability in the way he talks. He's very honest. He talks about things that cut close to him. And if you've watched a lot of his interviews, that's the sort of vibe he gives.
I had time to think about it.
I think Crow would have been one-dimensional.
I think it's better they make a movie, if they want to make a movie on me, when I'm dead,
Oh, well, there you go.
not while I'm alive. Like when I was asked to read my book, The Devil in the Kitchen, and I got to that moment of reading about my mother's life, dying. I put the book down and said, it's fine. So when you tell me things like you did today, I don't know because I've not read it.
Oh, my God.
So you've given me insight to how simple stories have become fabricated stories. But I suppose people want to make things more exciting, more romantic.
Maybe.
I suppose it's called poetic license. So you can't do that with food.
Do you get in the kitchen much yourself?
I help the boys. I like it.
At Rudlow?
At Redley, yes. So I like it. So
Because you've said that you hate cooking. You're on record as saying that you hate cooking.
what?
I don't know. I can find it if you like.
Oh, I don't care.
Maybe it was like maybe it was when
don't
you
care.
felt burned out by the high octane cooking of sort of Michelin star quality.
Now I like to cook. I like to teach. I like cooking gravy for Christmas Day lunch. I like making the stuffing at Christmas Day. So on Christmas Day, I always go in the kitchen with the boys and the girls, and then we make the gravy.
From the giblets?
I do use the giblets. I use the gizzards,
Question.
the hearts, and the liver.
giblets.
I dice them very small, and then when it's away, we put the giblets in at the very last minute, and then we put the turkey fat back into it. So it's a gras. So it's like a jus gras. So when we make the gravy's gravy, and it's delicious. But when you take the fat from the roasting of the bones, and you pour some of it into the gravy, but you don't mix it in. So it's a split sauce. Like the only way I can describe it, so it's like balsamico and olive oil. It's split.
Yeah.
So when you put it over your bird, the gravy runs off, but then it's French varnished with the fat, the gras, which changes everything. The gras is the most important. And
Because the flavour's in the fat.
there's a lot of flavour in the fat.
This
When you
is
think
really
rendered
interesting
turkey fat is deliciously good.
Do you ever use an air
This is
fryer?
when Marco's at his best, right? When he's talking
No.
about food.
They're
Do
quite-
you?
Yes. They're quite good. And you know that thing
They're
where
very fast. They're like the sort of Ferrari of the kitchen, aren't they?
sometimes you can get, say you get chicken thighs, and then some recipes call you remove the skin. You know, what am I going to do with the skin? Put it in the air fryer.
Skin's delicious.
And you can make little kind of chicken skin crisps. And then at the bottom of the air fryer, what do you have? All the fat.
Oh, the gras.
Yeah, and you can pour that.
So keep
Pop
that.
that in the fridge.
Pop that in your gravy.
You can
Sensation.
do that. Use it with your potatoes or something.
Delicious.
Delicious. And the little crispy skin is nice.
My mother used to boil chicken. It was so good with vegetables.
That sounds. But then the skin would be gelatinous and weird.
Because what happens is the skin renders. And at the
Not
last
at
bit,
that temperature, surely.
no, because if you think, there's your vegetables, there's your chicken legs, because she didn't, not the breast, just the legs, cut the legs in half, with the carrots, with the leeks, with the celery, bit of garlic, all quite chunky,
And boil that.
and simmer. And then at the last minute, she'd throw olive oil on with parsley and bay leaf. And the best bit was actually getting your bread and butter and dipping it in the broth. So deliciously good.
Wouldn't those chicken legs, the
best.
skin would be gelatinous, wouldn't
But
it?
beautiful.
Would you like to eat that?
I did, and I still do.
You don't
I
like crispy skin?
I like both. It's like when I was a boy at the Gavroche, the staff would have a confit de canard and the skin would be soft. not crispy. Delicious. I see when fat is cooked to perfection, it's so good. We like all those secondary cuts. They taste much better. Who wants a breast when you
A lot
have
of
a
chat about
delicious
chicken
thigh?
skin here.
Why? There's still some Michelin in you, isn't there? Is there? Even though you saw through the veil, you realised, hey, you can't judge me. I'm above you. Nevertheless, it has some hold over you. Could you ever see yourself going back? It's too demanding.
Michelin has changed. Today, they dish them out like confetti. But you have to say that Michelin have done more for gastronomy than any individual or any other institution in this world. So you have to give credit where it's due. They create dreams for chefs.
Thanks so much for coming by. I think the door's open. That means they're going to kick us out.
I think that's a very subtle hint.
I know.
I hope you enjoyed yourself.
I really did. It was a real honour to have you come by, and thank you for being so generous with your time.
All right, let's pause that there. I didn't talk a lot for that last bit because didn't need to say much really, did I? Fascinating. Let's get the chat up. So I'm going to miss that there. Let's put it there. Excellent. Yeah, well, that was really interesting, wasn't it? I think we got a lot of bits and bobs out of that. For Marco, if you're new to Marco, you would have found out some things you hadn't heard before. If you're Marco obsessives, you would have found it really interesting as well. There's little bits and bobs. Rewatch party and discussion. Yes, quite. Rewatch, let's do it again. I would go through Louis' outro as well, but time's cracking on. It's 10 to 10. We've been going 90 minutes already. I am also slightly petrified about what YouTube or Twitch are going to do to this stream because I'm just restreaming someone else's stuff. So I might have to unlist this video afterwards. We'll find out. But I found that really fascinating. Some interesting stuff in there, more than ends up on the clips. Really interesting. Yes. And it sounds like, from those of you watching along with me, you also found some interesting stuff in there too. Good. Well, look, it's getting late in the evenings, certainly where I am. And I definitely need a drink, as it's, what? Still 24 degrees. Whew. So, and when I say a drink, I mean like a long glass of water. So I'm going to do that. But thank you all for hanging out this evening. It's been great fun. Don't enlist even on... Well, I might be forced to, is my point. It might not be up to me, Vulture. Depends if they come after me with a hammer. We'll see. I'm going to leave it and see what happens. Anyway, it's been really cool hanging out with you all. For those of you still around and on Twitch, I'm going to raid out to some of my favourite people. Start a Discord, Team Spud Marco, yeah. Yeah, we're going to raid out. In fact, those of you on Twitch, I'm going to take you to Chef PK. He's a good friend of mine, and he talks about food in a really cool way. I can't quite see what he's doing, but I think he's doing something interesting. Anyway, really cool hanging out, and I will catch you all on the next one. Keep your eyes peeled for the next video. Night all.